Hello, I am with Helen Campbell, who had a medium session with me. And so we want to talk about what that was like for her so that others can have a sense of what mediumship is and what to expect. So thank you for being here, Helen. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
So tell me, did you have preconceived ideas or even know what mediumship was when we first spoke?
Well, all through my life, I've kind of been interested in mediumship. I've had a lot of sessions with psychics, and I've had an experience with you. We were talking partly about dogs. I never thought dogs in a mediumship kind of thing, but I've had lost loved ones that I was always curious about, and would think about. And sometimes situations in my life where I wanted questions answered about people. And so varied experience with mediumship type situations. And I've always, most part, been enlightened by them.
Wonderful, wonderful. So
Yeah.
So in that case, you probably didn't have hesitations, or did you have expectations of what might happen in our session?
No, I was more interested. I felt like I was probably going to learn more, learn something new. And so I always get excited,
Mhm.
you know, uh, about participating in that kind of event.
Mhm.
So
It's wonderful that you have an open mind. You feel like other people can still mm, receive some information, even if they don't have quite the open mind you do.
um I'm not sure. I'm Even if people have preconceived ideas, once they're involved in it, I think it probably opens their eyes.
Mm,
I mean, the experience, if it touches them,
mhm.
in the heart, usually
Yeah, yeah,
they get more open.
exactly.
And so, in our, I was going to explain to you, in the Native American world, American Indian world, we believe in spirits. We don't call them ghosts, and they're not to be feared. A lot of times, people that have passed over, sometimes they come to you and tell you things. So
Mhm.
it's not an unsettling kind of experience. I remember being in working at Portland Public Schools with this little Native American girl. She was about 12 or so, and she liked a traditional dance and at powwows and stuff. And the counselor said that she came to school one day and was talking to her grandmother.
Mm.
But the counselor said, well, she's been deceased like 10, 15 years. And I told the counselor that it's not unknown, or it's something that sometimes your deceased will come to you
Mm.
depending on your relationship. So it's not a scary thing, because normally I've not heard of a situation like that scaring people. It kind of enlightens them, and it's a learning, for them, so they see it in that way.
Thank you for sharing that because I think more people have those experiences than we think or that people may want to admit.
Yes.
That's why this is important for it to become not a scary thing, because
Right.
often we do have feelings or have visits and they're comforting, especially when one recently passed, and then the wisdom that can come later on from them if they kind of stick
Yeah.
with it, as it were. Yeah, exactly. So thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Yeah. I want to tell you this experience I had when I went down to, I don't remember, New Mexico, but there was a native woman, Indian woman, uh, that wanted to host a sweat. And that's a kind of a spiritual kind of endeavor.
Mhm.
that Native people get involved with. And I've heard caution about if you're not familiar with the people who are having a sweat, you probably shouldn't go. Or if they're strangers, but you should go with people you're comfortable with, which it was. And they were talking about how inside the sweat, and this is kind of a silly thing for me, inside the sweat, they said they can see spirits, and they look like fireflies. They're just little things of light. And I was being kind of mischievous, and I was saying, well, if that's so, I want to see that. And so I opened my eyes when it was pitch dark in the sweat, and there were just thousands of lights in the air. And I quickly closed my eyes because I felt like I was doing something maybe I shouldn't do. But it was just like there was a whole bunch of fireflies inside this teepee. And they were all, yeah, they were just little flashes of light. I mean, you know how a firefly
I
looks.
do.
That's how it looked.
Did you feel love from them, or any bodily feeling?
Well, I thought I was witnessing something that I hadn't been as close to before, because I'm a kind of person, somebody tells you something, I go, oh yeah, sure, I have to see it for myself.
And you did. Mediumship is working with energy. Humans are
Yeah.
energy. So, and
Yeah.
So it's really, we're just all part of it. I wanted to ask you also, when we worked together, did you have a particular idea of who you wanted to bring in, or were you just thinking, well, somebody will come and I'll again be curious about it?
Well, I was talking about my brother, Henry, and my grandmother. She's like a grandmother.
Yeah. So you were open to having, you just thought of at least two people that you thought would be interesting for you to come in. And so when, in fact, do you want to tell us a little bit about what did happen when someone came in for you? What that experience was like for you?
I don't have a lot of memories about it. And maybe from what you saw, you could add, but there was a settling, what do you call it? An acceptance or settling of his death, knowing that he was okay.
So give us just a little background. Who is this? And
that was my better. Yeah, when I was about 14 or 15, my brother, his name was Henry, and he was 20 or 21, but it's really a mixed bag because we were kind of closed mouthed about our thoughts about the fact that we thought he committed suicide. But he was like an older brother that was nurturing to all the littler ones. So it was really a traumatic kind of scenario. And I find that I had a lot of men in my life have been lost. Yeah. And so, but when I went through the experience with my brother, it kind of settled things down, the sadness.
Thank you for sharing that. So when he came through, what happened for you, or what changed for you when you heard him say how he was on the other side?
Well, it was like, that's the first time I've experienced that. I mean, because it was so important to me, it was, it settled some of the trauma, the loss for me. And there was still a loss of losing him, but the fact he was so important to everybody, but we couldn't talk about it. And that was the hole in our family. Yeah.
Well, and that you found peace through this process of mediumship,
Yeah,
and then that goes out into the world, even if perhaps your siblings aren't as peaceful. It's still something that you can bring out into the world because you have found some peace and some understanding about it. And
yeah,
that helps all of us.
yeah. And I found there was a part of me that felt that I was so open to healing my past
Mhm.
or trying to understand it. You know, they say that through generations of people, you know, and spirits, you know, your spirits or your relative can experience a lot of trauma, and that comes through the gene pool.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, because you can carry
Mhm.
that trauma from your past.
Exactly. And so by
Yeah.
you gaining peace and understanding and forgiving
Hmm.
yourself for anything that you might have had confusion or guilt about, then again, that spreads out.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
that's what I want to do.
It's brave and courageous of you, and no doubt that it does, again, continue to bring you some peace and understanding for your life,
Hmm.
bring some of that trauma to
Yeah.
rest. And I did not mean for all this feeling to come up. So let me just offer, just go ahead and tap just below your collarbone. And
Well, I was surprised that the feeling came up too,
yeah, yeah,
you know, because I was trying to remember
mhm,
that experience.
yeah,
And
yeah,
but you know, I can feel feelings, and it's kind of what do you call it? It's refreshing in a way to feel that pain and feel those tears, and then they're gone, and you kind of feel refreshed,
yes, lovely.
you know,
Yeah.
in a good way, you know.
Good way, because that trauma is always there with us. It's just being able to be with it and bring love to it and then carry on,
Yeah,
and that acknowledgement um, for how it moved us in our life. But and
yeah,
it's sad, there's no doubt about that. It's sad. So I really appreciate you taking this time and sharing your emotion and your love for your brother.
yeah.
Um, Thank you so much.
I appreciate you asking me because it was yeah, and it brings back some of those thoughts, but it's not a bad thing.
Mhm,
It's just an awareness,
mhm.
some feeling. It fills me up,
Yeah,
you know, because there can be a lot of emptiness. And because I grew up in a family that didn't talk much.
yeah. And that feeling, even if it's sad, is still about love, and that's always a good feeling to have.
Yeah.